So the last thing that we're going to talk about inside this introduction to After Effects set of tutorials is the idea of customizing your workspace. As you work with After Effects, sometimes things get readjusted. Sometimes you need to sort of get back to the starting point. And under Window and Workspace, there are a lot of different options for predetermined workspace formats. Standard's the one that I've been working with today. If I want to reset the standard to what the original parameters were, one of the things I want you to watch is this element over here where I resized my composition and my effects and presets option here. So if I reset my standard to its original layout, we'll say yes. And you can see it goes back here, and my composition has more of my real estate from my frame, and so there are some different sort of things that are going on there. Underneath Workspace, though, there are a lot of different options. We can go to All Panels, which gives us a lot of information, and it's really rare that you need access to everything here. You can see the big difference is down here in the bottom right-hand corner. We've got a lot of different panels for tools that we don't necessarily need in every project that we're working on. If we go to animation, then gives us some priority to things like smoother and wiggler and motion sketch, which are elements that are traditionally used inside an animation sequence. And it just goes from there forward, and it hopefully makes a little bit of intuitive sense. If you're putting some dominance on effects, then we've got the effect controls and we've got the effects and presets open there. So some different kinds of options, and it just depends on the kinds of things that you're working with. Now, if you're interested in, you've got things set up exactly the way that you want them, and you've got maybe you like a dominant timeline, and you like having a separate, smaller composition and some different sort of things like that. You can go to Workspace and do New Workspace and say, we'll call this dominant timeline, and we'll click OK. And then under Window and Workspace, you can see that we've got Dominant Timeline as an option. So if I switch to Effects and reset it, yes. And then I go back to Window and Workspace and Dominant Timeline, you can see that it changes the way that it works. And so that's one way to kind of personalize the way that After Effects works and the way that it looks. So one of the things that you can also do to modify the way that After Effects looks is that you can change the brightness of the interface. And so if we go to Preferences and Appearance, you can see that we have a slider for brightness, and if we boost it up, you can see that it switches to a lighter gray. If we knock it down, you can see that it gets closer to dark gray or black. And what I would say is just work with something that's comfortable for your eyes. You also want to make sure that you're not working with something that's so bright or so dark that it has some negative consequences on the way that you're looking at color. We'll talk more about that when we get into color correction. I'm going to work with the default just so that things look as regular to you on the other side of the tutorials as possible. But if you like the idea of having the lighter background with the text in black, then you can slide it up that way. If you like having the text in white and the background and the darker color, then you can do it that way. But it's really just whatever is most comfortable for you.